Hello and welcome to the Pizza Katerina car. So today is March 2nd, I think it's March 2nd. Is it March 2nd? I'm trying to see if there's a calendar anywhere in my car. But I think it's March 2nd today, and today I am picking up my par-baked pizzas that I was able to have blast frozen with the support and help of the Victorian Bakery and Maria, the owner. So these little moments are the things that I want to capture, not because they're probably exciting to anyone. What? I'm in the turn lane, friend. What's happening? I'm in the turn lane. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, like literally, I don't know what's going on. Like, all right, so now you're seeing the driving. This is the reason why Pizza Katerina will never be on any of the cars that I drive. I follow the rules mostly as long as I know them. I don't know what that rule was with that bus. All right, so there's a little impromptu moment. So this is the stuff that I want to capture though. So it is March 2nd, 2023, and I just froze my first par-bake and my first dough balls. I let my dough balls rise, do their 2-day rise. So I used dough balls that were made on Monday, and I dropped them off at Maria's, and she blast froze them on Wednesday, and I'm picking them up on Thursday, and I'm gonna bring them back to the shop and put them in our freezer. And so this is, I was just talking to Maria at the Victorian Bakery, and on Tuesday, I went into Kellogg's Research and Development building and met with an engineer there and sort of saw some of the stuff. And, you know, here's the thing about small business. We start, unless there's a great deal of money and investment, we start with borrowing other people's shit and not, you know, we all start with curiosity. But, and I know Kellogg's also started, like he walked me through and talked about the historical time of the Kellogg, and, you know, saw pictures of their earliest, when they were digging for their first building and throwing dirt with shovels into the back of a wooden cart being pulled by horses. So we all start here. And I like to think of myself now as building a pizza empire, which I don't know what that'll mean for me. And an empire for some may be a little dinky thing for Mel, or it may be, I don't know what the future holds. But it's one of the reasons I wanted to do this video, because I don't know. And there's a lot of things that I cannot remember from our first days. So I thought now's the time to start before things maybe have the opportunity to take off. Or, I'm not gonna lie, I sat down with a friend yesterday and talked about failure and the possibility that we won't make it past the summer. Truth of the matter is we're basically out of money. We're out of money. Jimmy and I have invested as much as we possibly could, and there's, you know, probably potential loans that we could fall back on, but I know that I couldn't afford to pay them, and so, you know, that's not feasible. So like next steps are all on the backs of people who are willing to help us, people who are my own willingness to do what needs to be done, to get it done myself. And we don't have teams of people to do this work. I don't have teams of people to, you know, I don't have teams of people, period. I got like a couple of people, which is great. But it's fascinating to me that everything starts with desire. Everything starts with the desire, and then the belief in possibilities. Because you might not even believe that it's believable, but I believe that there's a lot of possibilities. So I want to know the difference between my par-bake fresh pizza and my par-baked frozen pizza, and what is the difference in quality? Can I taste the difference in quality? I've got a just fine mouth. Jimmy and my friend Jen Wells, they've got great mouths. Their mouths are better than mine. I got a just fine mouth, but they have great mouths. And so whenever I do experiments, I like it when the three of us can get together and do some sampling. So hopefully, I can get together with Jen Wells. I'm going up to Grand Rapids tomorrow for Walter Soccer, and I thought maybe I could bring up par-baked fresh and a par-baked frozen over to Jen Wells, and we can use her oven and see if she's got time available, which she doesn't know about. I gotta call her. But that was my thought, because we'll all be there and we can taste each of these pizzas. And then the dough balls. So then I'm curious about the dough balls. Like, how long will it take them to defrost? When I use them side by side with a fresh dough ball, can I tell the difference? And are they worth the increase in price? So for instance, I think of Pizza Caterina and the ways that we can generate revenue, like a business portfolio or an investment portfolio where you've got, high risk, low risk. And I think of our business now as that, right? Sustainability comes with variety of ways to earn revenue. So one of the ways is fresh local par-bakes to, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, maybe the Lakeshore. But if I venture out farther from that, I'm going to have to do frozen. Par-bakes take a ton of time, whether it's my time, whether it's me paying staff time, doesn't matter. Par-bakes take a lot of time. There's a lot of attention that goes into them, and it's one of the reasons our pizzas cost what they cost. And to be honest, it's like a cake. I don't know that you really get the real amount that you sort of feel like I deserve to get out of them. And maybe that's, me saying, well, I hate to price myself out of the market because our pizzas are already costly. But the reason is because there's so much time and put into attention to detail, and because we're doing it on such a small scale that we don't have volume makers. We can't buy in volume. We can't buy in, we buy from Gordon's, but we're not buying in bulk. Like, we are buying in bulk compared to my house, but we're not buying in bulk compared to the Victorian Bakery or compared to, something like a Kellogg. So small business is charging more for that reason, period. But dough balls, one of the things I thought about with dough balls is Gordon sells a bag of just very generic, and there's probably varieties, I'm assuming. I don't know, but I'm assuming. And nothing against that, just I know that those dough balls are like 70 cents per dough ball. My dough balls will be, I need them to be, to me, about $1.30. Now, my crust and my dough balls are definitely worth $1.30 compared to they're worth double of what the generic massively produced ones are. However, can I keep my quality as good with larger scale production? That's what I gotta find out, because that is one of the ways that I could create revenue is by making and selling dough balls to a large volume, like maybe not as large as Gordon's, but like large volume. So one of the things that I've been interested in is selling our dough balls to local restaurants that make pizza, but they just buy cheap, or I should say inexpensive mass-produced dough balls. Well, maybe if they're a higher end restaurant, maybe they're willing to spend a little bit more on mine. It's better. Maybe they wouldn't notice. And so it doesn't matter. Like, when I think about buying product, does that make a difference in the overall scheme of my pizza? So I looked into buying this really high end, super delicious. You could eat the crushed tomatoes out of the can without anything in them. No need to add anything. They're so good. So good. So good. But they're much more expensive than the ones that we use right now. And when I use those on my pizza, and I use mine on my pizza, because of the competing flavors, it didn't make enough difference that I could charge what extra I would have to charge for that specific tomato. Does that make sense? So like, if you aren't focused on the crust of your pizza and you think, well, that wouldn't allow me to inflate the cost to the consumer enough, then that's fine, right? So this is something that I want to figure out and kind of play with as I move into selling our frozen dough balls, if it works out, which people sell and buy frozen dough balls. So they got to work out. And they all use blast freezers because I've done the research. So they got to work out. Like, that's got to be a thing. So I'm sure that it's going to be fine. But I don't know, if I work with it and I sell you frozen dough balls, what are the instructions on the package going to be? Is it going to be let rest on your counter for, how long does it thaw? What is all that information? And I don't know that yet. So we have to figure it out. So I'm my own current research and development team. And then when it comes to taste, then I get my friend Jen Wells, her mouth involved, and Jimmy's mouth involved. So that's that. And that's exciting. The other thing that's exciting is today is our first day that I'll be making par bakes for Bell's Brewery and the Eccentric Cafe. So one of the other ways that I've looked into diversifying is having bars and breweries that don't have the staff or don't want to spend the money on making a product such as a really good pizza. Bars and breweries sell pizza, but oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes their brewery and their beer and their, that's their main priority. And food just goes along with keeping you on the bar stool, sort of. So my thought was, if you don't want to put the money into it and the time into it, labor is super expensive. I'm already doing that. I could provide you with my par baked pizzas and you top them, or I could top them also. Then you sell them in your bar/restaurant using the Pizza Caterina name and brand that we've been building for quality. So I had Molly send out an email a while back to some local bars and breweries. Hey, is there any interest in something like this? And Bell's got back to us and said, yes, we have interest. The current chef of Bell's is a customer, a patron of ours, and so there was interest. So fantastic. So now, through the course of XYZ, we now are making our first batch of par baked pizzas for delivery today. So that is super exciting for me. They've ordered 30. That's the other thing I wanted to make sure that I said, just as a reference. Like, they ordered 30. And I've got a lot of curiosity about what the volume will be, or won't it be? So just to be frank, I can make up to 180 par baked pizzas for Bell's in addition to what I already provide to the local grocery stores that carry our pizzas, I could do 180 for Bell's a week and keep my shop open Monday through Thursday. If it exceeds that, I will be at capacity and I would need to shut my shop down Monday through Thursday to keep up with that demand. Now, they are thinking maybe 100 pizzas a week, maybe. I think, well, I know we go through more than that. We don't go through over 100 on a Friday or Saturday or Sunday. Those are our big days. Friday and Sunday actually are big days. Saturday's bigger than the rest of the week, but not as big as those two, typically. So what is that going to look like? Like, are they really only going to go through 100 a week? Which is more than, yes, I would totally do that. But I'll be curious to see how this grows. We're starting out. They want to start out on the weekends only. So the par bakes that I make today will be sold and cooked in their ovens on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I love morning chai. And I love my cup from the Big B because keeps my stuff hot enough. I have a Yeti, but it keeps it so hot, it feels like it never cools down. And I can't ever drink it enjoyably. Like, you can drink it, but not enjoyably. Like, it's hot, it's too hot. This is perfect. So I'm sort of curious what that's going to be, but our first delivery is today, and it is 30 pizzas. So I'll do a little video later today about that. And it's so funny. Again, it's like they want 30. I've got these 2 racks that hold 15 par-baked pizzas each, or 15 pizzas each. And I couldn't even afford to buy the screens to put them on. And so I'm using these ripples, which is fine, but I don't want to use for long term because then it costs me to use those ripples. And so again, then you're just, ways to decrease expenses so that we can maintain some sort of level of profitability or come to some sort of profitability, which we're not at yet, but get there would be needing to have things that aren't throwaway as much as possible. And who wants to do that to the environment? We don't want to have them throwing away all this stuff and then us replenishing all this stuff. Like, if we don't have to, we don't want to. But again, right now, I can't afford to buy them. 24 screens is like $53, which I know you're like, well, that isn't a lot, but it is when you've got payroll that's got to go out tomorrow. And I'm thinking about whether or not I have enough resources in my business account to cover it. So it's all this management of what's more important right now versus what isn't important right now. And sometimes I make good calls and sometimes I don't make good calls. And, because it's sort of all new and I'm a human, it's tricky to figure that out. So anyway, so that's my jam today. We had a staff call in last night. They can't work tonight. And so that means I work all day today. We're making par bakes for grocery stores. We're making par bakes for Bell's. And then if I don't have someone, I sent out a text this morning to staff. Hey, can anyone cover a shift tonight? If I don't get a yes, then that means I'm on deck. And that's the other part of business. I know that to everyone, it's just a job. And, it's just a job. But in a service industry job, you don't get to say to customers, oh, I'm sorry, we don't have, right? Like, to some degree you can, but I'm already so low staffed that there's no way one person could run a Thursday. It's, we're running, 2 people are running a Thursday because I don't know what sales are. They've really shifted. Last year on a Thursday, I knew what my sales would be and I knew I needed 3 people. Sometimes I needed 4, where now I'm working on 2. And anyway, so that means that it might be me. It might be me from, I didn't leave the house today until, 8. I'm pulling into the shop at 8:30, and I mandate myself a break because I have to pick my boys up from school and drive them home. And I wouldn't have to. They could take the bus, but I do that on purpose so that I mandate myself a break, because otherwise I don't get one. I'll be working and possibly on my feet other than that time. Not a poor me, just a reality, and part again of business ownership and growing. So before, when we weren't going to do par bakes and we decided to close for lunch, well, I wouldn't have had to come in today until 11 or noon, maybe even 1 o'clock to get ready for tonight. Where now I do this all day, but again, it's because it is all about generating the revenue to make us sustainable and hopefully to grow us so that we become, right, the possibility of that pizza empire. And then, but that's on the back of me. If everyone else says no, then that's on me, unless I'm sick. There's been one time I've had staff call in and I've been too sick to work and I had to shut the shop down. But you try really hard not to do that as a business owner, because you want reliability, that you're open when you say you'll be open, and so people can count on you and trust it. Otherwise you lose trust, and then people are like, well, they're only open sometimes and I never know, and so forget it, we'll just go somewhere else where I know. Well, that's not the business model. That is for sustainability, let alone for growth, in my opinion. So that's me. I'm at the shop. I got my frozen pizzas. I'm bringing them in. I'm putting them in the freezer. I'm going to call Jen Wells, see if she can meet tomorrow night. Friday night. Yep, Friday night, in between soccer games, and we can have some pizza at her house. And I'll let you know how the bells goes. Okay. Pizza Katerina. This is Mel signing out.